Hey everybody, sorry I hadn't recorded anything in a couple weeks, honestly. It's nothing sizable has really changed in today's world. Basically, the last time that I left, or the last time that I recorded anything, everyone was kind of going crazy. And somewhat justifiably so from both sides, I'd say. But I don't want to talk about that today, right now. I want to talk about today being the 19th anniversary of September 11th. I know that there are people that were there, that got out of the towers, that got out of the Pentagon, that got out of Tower 7, that saw it a lot closer than I did. I mean, I live, 12 hours from New York-ish? I know that it's definitely a traumatic event to go back and remember. I remember I was homeschooled growing up, so that's kind of important to the story. I remember we were at home, and I don't remember precisely what I was doing. I was a teenager, and so my job was to empty out the refrigerator into my stomach every day. So I don't remember what I was doing, whether I was studying or snacking or a combination of the two. But the home phone rang. My dad was over at my grandparents' house helping out with them. They were elderly and in declining health, especially my granddad at the time. And Mom got a phone call, which wasn't out of the ordinary. So he calls home, and Mom's, normal, hey, how you doing, honey? How's your mom and dad kind of stuff, and trying to do that, and he says, turn on the TV. And I remember Mom being like, okay, what? You just turn on the TV, and I'm guessing his half of the conversation. But turn the TV on, turn it to any news channel. And she did. And boy, were we in for a shock. By the time that we got news and got the TV tuned to everything, the first tower that got hit had already been hit, was on fire pretty good, and we got to watch the second tower get hit live, as I'm sure a lot of people did that day. And we watched both buildings collapse, watched as news came in about the Pentagon getting hit. The plane that went down, I believe it was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Don't hold me to that one being accurate. I know it was in Pennsylvania, though. And watching the horror from the streets of New York. And I don't think there was any footage on the ground at the Pentagon. But watching the aerial footage of that, where that whole section of the Pentagon ended up collapsing, it's still just, I don't know what you'd call the emotion, but it's still all these years later, you think about the people that died the second that those planes hit, the second that those buildings collapsed. It boggles my mind to hate that much. I can't wrap my mind around hating random people that much. Pardon me. I've never understood racism or religious prejudice based solely on the religion. Now, the application of it, sure. Like, the people that buy into and act out the teaching of Westboro Baptist Church. There was one time they were planning on protesting a series of soldiers' funerals, and I want to say it was Hell's Angels was going to run interference for them and kind of rough up Westboro Baptist Church if they tried to harass the families of these fallen soldiers. And I'll just say I was a fan of the thought of that. But I've known people that were... I've dealt with people that were of Muslim faith before. Never bothered me. They treated me like a human being, and I treated them the same. One of my best buddies that I mean with, Danny of the show I'm No Expert, he's an atheist, and we crack jokes back and forth all the time. And he's a good guy. He was raised in church, so it's funny, like a lot of his behaviors, minus foul mouth, is, and I somewhat can't talk about that, being honest. But a lot of his behaviors, as far as the way that he treats people, straight out of the Bible. So, but I just don't get it. I mean, one of my best friends, his wife's an atheist, and she is a sweetheart of a woman. I think the world of her. She's one of the better things that's happened to him. So, I don't get it. If everybody thought of everybody as a human being first, no matter what their beliefs or thoughts on things are, I think the world would be a better place. I'm going to tell one little final story. Text message rolling in. My car lets me know. But one little final story about September 11th, and then I'm getting off of here. You know, one of the things that I remember somewhat clearly about that day is the news was reporting on stuff that at such a fast rate, because they had news coming in from, 4 ground sites and speculation on who was responsible, and trying to keep up with any statements coming from the president. I know he was in the air most of that day in Air Force One. So there was a lot of I'm not going to say lies, but false information that they put out. one of the pieces of false information that got put out that my family and I responded to is that gas prices, that because they figured that whoever did it was from the Middle East, and a lot of America's gasoline came from there at the time, so they were expecting a full-on gas shortage like in the 70s when this happened. Thankfully that didn't happen, but I remember Mom had a rather large vehicle at the time that drank rather large quantities of fuel, but she had me go out to the garage and grab every available gas can and throw in the trunk of her car. We went round the block to the little mini mart. I believe it's still there. And filled up her car to the brim and filled up all those gas cans. I don't remember how much we had because we didn't have a lot of big ones. We had a bunch of small ones for a lawnmower. But we went and filled up every gas can, and they ended up sitting in there for a few months, and we're like, you know what, we need to use those. But the one thing I remember when we went to the gas station, the line was unreal because everyone else heard the same reports that night. No one was being aggravated, short-tempered with anybody. Everyone was standing out there getting their gas in their vehicles and cans that they bought, talking, being polite. I don't know what anyone's political leanings, religious leanings, but everyone was treating each other as a human being that night. And it would be nice for that to happen again. So, I reckon that's about all I got. I wish that coronavirus and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks wouldn't have caused all this. I'm getting the phone call, folks. I gotta go. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.